So, today I'm willing to go through and read a few poems once again, since I really tremendously like them. I appreciate them. I find that it is useful to go through them because, when I can't find the right words, there's probably somebody else that can. And so I do want to present that to you. The first one is by Thinking. It's Thinking by Walter D. Wintle. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a fellow's will, it's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. If you've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before and can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Which is amazing, because I think it is just the truth. If you think that you can do something and you're capable of doing something, then you probably are also able to do so, or let's put it in that way. Things begin with the mind. That's it. Yeah, nothing else to say. Dreams by Langston Hutchins. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. Catch Bird by Maya Angelou. The free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till current ends, and dips his wings in the orange-run race and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with fearful trill of the things unknown, but long for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill for the caged bird. Sings of freedom. Well, I can't read. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on a grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream, his wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but long for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. There's actually another one by it's another person, Angela Morgan. In spite of war, in spite of death, in spite of all man's suffering, something within me laughs and sings, and I must praise with all my breath. In spite of war, in spite of hate, lilacs are blooming at my gate, tulips are tripping down the path, in spite of war, in spite of wrath. Courage, the morning glory saith, rejoice, the daisy murmureth, and just to live is so divine, when pansies lift their eyes to mine. The clouds are roping with the sea, and flashing waves call back to me that naught is real but what is fair, that everyone and everywhere a glory liveth through despair. Though guns may roar and cannon boom, roses are born and gardens bloom, my spirit still may light its flame, and that same torch whence poppies came. Where morning's altar whitely buns, lilies may lift their silver urns, in spite of war, in spite of shame. And in my ear a whispering breath, wake from the nightmare, look and see that life is not by ecstasy, in spite of war, in spite of death. Well, I do want to see if I can find an analysis on that. Because that's actually very interesting to see war. Key to Poetry. Poem analysis of Angela Morgan poem analysis. Well, this is an analysis of the poem In Spite of War that begins with, The information we provide is prepared by means of a social computer program. Use the criteria sheet to understand the greatest poems or improve your poetry analysis essay. Stanza lengths in strings 12, 12, and 4. Closest meter, iambic, tetrameter. Closest rhyme, rima. Closest stance type, sonnet. Yeah, amount of stances 3 and whatnot. I do actually want to kind of have a meaning in some sort of thing, but anyway, let's go through another one. Ekla Kalore by Rabindranath Tagore or something. If they answer not to they call walk alone, if they are afraid and cower mutually facing the wall, although unlucky one, open time mine and speak out alone, if they turn away and desert you when crossing the wilderness, although unlucky one, trample the thorns under they tread, and along the bloodline track travel alone. If they do not hold up the light when the night is troubled with storm, and though unlucky one, with the thunder flame of pain ignite my own heart and let it burn alone. Character of the Happy Warrior by William Wordsworth. I think that I've once gone through that already, as well as Desiderata. This is a very long one. I wandered lonely as a cloud by William Wordsworth once again. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves besides them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth this show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. I don't know what a daffodil is. A bulbous European plant which typically bears bright yellow flowers with a long trumpet-shaped center, which apparently is called Corona. Fuck me. Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day, thou art more lovely and more temperate? Rough winds do shake the darling's buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But they eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of the fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as man can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives or lives this, and this gives life to thee. My mind to me, I want to talk about some other things as well, I guess. And I don't want to go through some poems that I just don't understand anyway. I have been for quite some time emphasizing that being a nice person is the way to go, and being a nice person is who we should be and how we should handle life quite. And I still think that way, but the question is, what is a nice person? You know, this is a really, really tremendously, how should I say? It is quite bad advice, to be honest, because we all think about something else when we think about a nice person. And so maybe, as I'm actually thinking about it, we should always kind of adapt to whom we are talking to. I mean, if we are talking to a certain kind of person, maybe we should just also be a certain type of person. But does that make sense in terms of staying truthful to yourself and quite also staying yourself? I mean, of course we can change, and of course we can alter ourselves so that we are liked by other people, but is this smart? I actually don't think so. So what is nice? Maybe nice is making other people feel good, which I guess a lot of people will say. But being nice, on the other hand, which is kind of the part that I want to emphasize a bit more and talk about a bit more. On the other hand, does it mean that we should be adapting to everything? Does it mean that we should be saying yes to everything, whether it is hurting us or whether it is helping us? Should we forget about ourselves? Should we forget about thinking about ourselves, about our own, pleasure, maybe happiness and health, mentally and physically? Well, I wouldn't say so. I mean, being a happy person and being a nice person doesn't mean that even though, I mean, it is something that I really struggle with quite. I don't know, maybe I sometimes don't think as much as I think I do. But being a nice person it's not about is it about maybe I can find something. What is a nice person? Nice people are honest with themselves and others without lacking kindness. They tell the truth at all times without hurting other people's feelings. Telling lies, on the other hand, is not something nice people do because deceit and dishonesty damage relationships. Well, yeah. It's actually very interesting. I mean, getneuro.com, nice person. What is it? Well, actually, let's check that out. Some as it may sound, but I mean, Googling for some information is some. I mean, we all can do so, but it sounds so dumb if it is about something so trivial and something so. I don't know. It's just strange. Being nice may seem like a dull option, but we all appreciate people who are genuinely nice. Truth be told, being nice doesn't happen automatically. It requires effort and energy. More often than not, we don't feel like being nice. Nonetheless, in our heart of hearts, we know that it's nice to be nice. Well, perhaps Jesus' words in his Sermon of the Mount could act as the motivation mantra for those of us. So perhaps Jesus' words in his Sermon of the Mount could act as the motivation mantra for those of us who feel being nice is best. There's a quote, all things whatsoever ye would that man should not do to you, do ye even so to them. In other words, treat others like you would like to be treated yourself, which is absolute bullshit, at least at my point of view, because people don't necessarily want to be treated like you want to be treated. Some people want to be hugged, some people don't want to be hugged. Even if you want to be hugged, doesn't mean that the person that you're interacting with, the person that you're talking to, wants to be hugged. Period. Doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, it is a good thought and I know what it is meant, but if you take it literal and if you go through, well, yeah, if you, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not worded. It's not worded in enough detail, if this makes sense. But what are the characteristics of a nice person? Let's look at the traits identified by today's psychologists. Altruism, doing stuff for others. Nice people do stuff for others without asking for anything in return. If they see someone in need, they step in and lend a helping hand. Truly altruistic individuals also help people they don't know because they feel it's the right thing to do. Even if helping someone presents a certain level of discomfort to themselves, do they step in? No doubt, sometimes being altruistic is a pain and requires true selflessness, but that's precisely what nice people are all about. Attentive listening and empathy. Nice people make an effort to listen to people attentively rather than continually speaking about themselves. They listen, take in what the other person is saying, and emphasize. Empathy is one of the most important human qualities. If someone is empathetic, they care enough to try to understand how the other person is feeling. Empathetic people care about the welfare of others and do not like to see others suffering. Listening is quite difficult for people all wrapped up in their own troubles. It requires effort and practice. And I think that empathy is one of the most important things one, actually as they also pointed out, is able to be capable of. Responsibility, owning imperfections. No one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Nice people admit their wrongs and take responsibility, regardless of how uncomfortable it may be at the time. Everyone is tempted to point the finger of blame at somebody else. Sometimes things are our fault. Well, it makes things actually quite easy, if you blame yourself. But anyway, those who have the honesty and courage to admit that they are wrong and take responsibility for their failures. Those who have the honesty and courage to admit that they are wrong and take responsibility for their failures will be able to right their wrongs and make up for them. That's what nice people do, apparently. I mean, I would actually like to see the sources there, but anyway. Humility, being accurate about strengths and weaknesses. Being humble doesn't mean putting oneself down. On the contrary, if someone is humble, she or he accurately accepts strengths and weaknesses. Nice people don't blow their own trumpets. They humbly accept their talents and acknowledge areas of themselves in need of improvement. They accept criticism and take on other people's advice. Am I good at that? Well, I don't know. Well, I think I am. Quite. I mean, there are some things that I'm good at, that I'm just naturally good at, and this is undeniable for me, at least. As it is with sports, for example. I'm just, talented when it comes to sports. When it comes to, communicating my thoughts, I'm not the best, especially not in my mother tongue. In English, it's actually doing better. I don't know why. Probably because I'm doing it every single fucking day. But anyway, the art of being silly. Honesty, speaking the truth. Is this another thing? Well, I think it is another article. So honesty, speaking the truth. Nice people are honest with themselves and others without lacking kindness. They tell the truth at all times without hurting other people's feelings. Telling lies, on the other hand, is not something nice people do because deceit and dishonesty damages relationships. That's not to say that you have to be tactless to be honest, but simply tell the truth with gentleness. Nice people also assess their own behavior honestly, recognizing shortcomings and taking responsibility for them as described above. Fairness, striving for the greater common good. Everyone has an inbuilt sense of fairness. Nice people choose to act fairly in an effort to strive for justice. They even choose fairness over their own comfort. Those striving for fairness do so without a personal agenda, acting for the common greater good, even if it means they potentially lose out. And it is something that I don't want to be like, okay, I'm such a nice person, but I just don't like it when I feel that I'm getting more than somebody else. I just dislike that. It's just something that I don't think is the right way to go. Kindness. Approaching everyone with kindness. Nice people are kind and try not to be cruel to anyone, but this is often difficult, particularly when dealing with people on a different wavelength. Sadly, nowadays, kindness is often considered to be a sign of weakness, whereas in actual fact, true kindness requires strength and resilience. Nice people also do not accept others to be perfect and cut them some slack. After all, no one is perfect. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, nobody's perfect. But especially not me. are definitely not perfect. You know, there's such a lot of things that I have to work on. It's just a case. Generosity, being generous with one's stuff. Nice people are giving. Most of them even derive joy from being generous. Perhaps it goes back to the saying, it's in giving we receive. Generosity does not just concern material things. Giving someone time is also a sign of generosity. Nice people give of their time freely, particularly to those in need. Nice people tend not to guard their possessions too closely, but like to give to make somebody happy. Selflessness, going the extra mile. While complete selflessness often points to a lack of self-esteem, doing the extra mile on occasion is something nice people do. If a friend or stranger is in trouble and needs a bit of extra help, they are there to help. If it takes extra effort to complete a task, they don't shy away from it. Nice people put themselves out for others when they would rather not. Curveball acceptance, taking the rough with the smooth. Life produces all sorts of curveballs. Everyone experiences problems and struggles at times. Nice people continue to try to be nice even when they are in a bad place themselves. They maintain their desires to act with kindness regardless of the hardship they may be experiencing. Graciously, they accept life's imperfections and continue along the path of niceness even when the chips are down. The question is, what is being nice? You know? Well, is it kind of meta? You know, that, I mean, the article is kind of talking about that, so therefore explaining it. Well, afterthought, nice people are nice to themselves, which is the last point of it. Truly nice people are also nice to themselves. They have to, otherwise sooner or later they will not be able to they will not be able to then nice to others, to be nice to others. Well, being nice on the long run is only achievable if you include yourself in the niceness. Self-acceptance and self-respect are a prerequisite for niceness. To quote perhaps the nicest person we think of, Jesus, it goes back to love your neighbor as yourself. If you want to be nice as often as possible, you will also need to be nice to yourself, otherwise it simply won't work and you'll end up bitter and twisted instead. Best ways to deal with anger. We also created the world's first sugar-free nootropic caffeine gum that utilizes the effects of caffeine and L-theanine made to help you optimize your mind. Well, no thank you, I guess. Let's actually see what the Urban Dictionary is saying. I'm probably just recording way too long, but just want to see. Well, I can't. Anyway, so I'm gonna end the episode there. I wish you the best. See you soon. Stay cool and healthy and nice. And yeah, think about the fact that we all can say something and do something that will make others feel good. And if it is about, asking, how their day was, something nice, something amazing, do that.